Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this edition of Nedbank Business Watch. It is gone exactly 2 p.m. Central African time. You have been kind to join us on the program. We promise you a very good show. My name is Fiso Ngumalo, and I'm with the lovely Lungele Makakula.
Yeah.
How are you?
Fiso, I'm good.
Loving your outfit. Looking
Lovely
really good.
afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. This is a Business Watch powered by Nedbank Eswatini. Do watch us on our YouTube page. We are at Eswatini TV. Very good afternoon and welcome once again. 2
new digital platforms, Government in Your Hand and the Eswatini Revenue Services tax pale have officially launched, and they mark what government calls a bold stride into the future of public service delivery. But beyond the fanfare, what do these tools really mean for economic activity, for entrepreneurs, as well as for the self-employed Liswati trying to make sense of tax compliance? Could they be the key to broader financial inclusion, or are we still asking the right structural questions? Economist Sanellis Bia joins us to unpack the economic implications, the policy signals, as well as the path forward of these 2 applications. Yeah, welcome once again. Thank you for tuning in to Business Watch. Today on the program, Sales and Marketing Manager at Big Game Parks, Xolani Gama, will join us to talk about the Nedbank Eswatini Imvelo MTP Classic, which will take place on Saturday, the 7th of June 2025 at Mlilwane Game Sanctuary. This year marked the 20th anniversary of the event, which has become a fixture on Eswatini's sporting calendar since its inception. It is organized by Big Game Parks. The mountain bike race is limited to only 500 participants, maintaining a focus on environmental sustainability and a high-quality experience for riders. And over the years, the event has attracted a mix of local and regional cyclists while preserving its emphasis on community involvement and conservation. With the proceeds of this year's event, Big Game Parks has committed to building a preschool in the Hlabazonke area, which lies on the northern side of Mlilwane. Stay tuned for this interview. But for now, let's go straight to our first story.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Watch, powered by Nedbank Eswatini. Thank you for staying with us.
Yeah, let's go straight into our business news story. In our first one, in a new digital dawn for Eswatini, the Minister for Information, Communication and Technology, Savannah Mazia, has unveiled the Government in Your Hand platform and the innovative ERS TaxPel app. Now, these groundbreaking digital tools are set to slash queues, cut costs, and transform how businesses and Emaswati access services, all from the palm of their hands. Speaking at the launch at Eswatini Revenue Services headquarters, the Minister for ICT declared that this is a new digital dawn for the Kingdom of Eswatini.
We gather here today to chart a new path of this beautiful kingdom. We stand on the brink of a really transformative era that defines how Emaswati will access opportunities and connect with their government and embrace a digital-first economy. Today is not just the launch of a mobile app, it's the dawning of a new era, one that reshapes how Emaswati engage with their government in an inclusive, dignified, and modern way. Today, we officially unveil the Government in Your Hand mobile app, the first phase of a bold and far-reaching national mission to bring government services closer to the people using digital platforms. So today, we're really launching an achievement in a partnership with the ERS. We're also unveiling their ERS Tax app. This joint launch, it's really a shining example of how we as entities can work together and really collaborate so that the people can get better, faster service and in a more efficient way so that we can really revolutionize how taxpayers are communicating with the tax authority. Part of the growth of this whole government in your hand process will be that every single government service you'll pay for online, so that you don't have to leave the line and then go to revenue and then come back. So that's all part of that situation where we really want you to have that convenience. So through government in your hand, through this app, Eswatini can already check their status of their IDs, their passports, and all their travel documents. You can register for a business name. You can pay for a vehicle license using mobile money. You can access educational financing information. So these services are just the beginning. We are going to be adding with our international and local partners a whole host of systems. We've just launched a one-stop platform, and we're going to be working with commerce as well to be able to ensure that you get your business online, you can get your trading license online, you can renew it online. So all of these things are things we're going to be adding on to ensure that you are able to get every single system that you require out of government, and even more. We want to be able to cut time, want to cut costs. So part of the things that we're doing is we are laying infrastructure with our APTC as well as EEC to ensure that we continuously make not only that it's convenient to you, but also it's faster, it's more reliable, and constant.
It'll now be easier for businesses to manage their tax accounts through the newly launched Eswatini Revenue Service Tax.
The compliance gap to every Liswati and who already manages their banking, messaging, and even marketing from their smartphones. No more traveling to a branch, no more guessing deadlines, or needing your laptop to file your returns. This will now all be accessible in a few clicks, in the palm of your hand. ERS has built an app to fit your lifestyle as a business on the go.
The Commissioner General of the Eswatini Revenue Service, Brightwell Nkambule, details the services offered by the TaxPal app.
Among its many features, TaxPal enables clients to interact with the ERS, manage their tax accounts, and apply for or download the tax clearance certificates anytime, anywhere. Looking ahead, we plan to expand payment options to include all major service providers and card payment facilities, ensuring greater convenience and accessibility. The TaxPal app is a key component of our broader compliance improvement program. It not only provides digital access to services, but also connects clients to educational material designed to enhance tax awareness and understanding. Importantly, the ERS will not slow down in other compliance empowerment initiatives. Our door-to-door education campaign, Project Bafunzise, remains a priority.
The Minister for Finance, Honorable Neil Rickenberg, says together these platforms will give taxpayers and citizens an experience that is fast, transparent and convenient, a living showcase of the Ngwe in action. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Langamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa and Derek Msibi, Ezulwini.
It's all systems go for the 2025 Annual Monetary Policy Statement addressed by the Governor of the Central Bank of Eswatini, Dr. Philip Nisi. Now, in his address, the Governor is expected to delve into key monetary issues, those that include the inflation trajectory as well as the monetary policy outlook for the year ahead. Now, let's take a listen as Dr. Nisi shares insights ahead of the highly anticipated statement that is scheduled for this Thursday.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to announce that on the 22nd of May 2025, the Central Bank of Eswatini will be hosting the 2025 Governor's Annual Monetary Policy Statement. The purpose of the policy statement is to report on the monetary policy stances taken by the bank over the year 2024-2025 to achieve its price and financial stability mandate, as supported by domestic, regional, and global economic developments. These developments inform how they have affected monetary policy decisions and other regulatory policy developments to foster financial sector stability. I will also deliberate on the inflation and monetary policy outlook for the current year 2025-2026. All stakeholders are invited to join physically and virtually on our social media platforms for a live presentation of this very important event. This will assist stakeholders to thoroughly understand the central bank's operations, deliverables, and will also avail an opportunity to interact with the bank by providing input on how best the central bank can achieve its mandate.
And that marks the end of our business news. Thank you for staying with us. This is Nedbank Business Watch.
It's 11 minutes after 2. We have Sanel Eswatini talking to us about the launch of these two apps that we have just watched on our business news segment.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
This is our first live interview. This is Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. We are getting into a discussion now with our economist, Sanel Eswatini, who's joining us virtually, where we want to unpack what government has done today when she officially launched two groundbreaking apps, that is Government in Your Hand and the Eswatini Revenue Service TaxPal. What do these digital tools mean for businesses and the ordinary Liswati? How will they reshape access to services and streamline tax compliance? Joining us to break it all down, Sanel Eswatini is going to help us understand, first and foremost, the potential impact as well as the benefits of these innovative platforms. Sanel, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us as usual. Hope you're having yourself a good afternoon wherever you are. Let's start with the big picture here. And I think the big picture is, do these digital tools mark a real inflection point in Eswatini's economic modernization, or are we simply digitizing inefficiencies? What is an economist point of view?
Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo, and thank you for having me. Good afternoon to the viewer. So when we talk of digitization, Mr. Ngumalo, we are living in an information economy, and we are actually living in an economy where it pays to actually be there and available on digital platforms, because that is how information moves nowadays, and it makes it easy for business people to engage in business and to do commerce. So we not only are we digitalization in its right sense, Mr. Nxumalo, is actually supposed to help us, do better. It's supposed to help us become more efficient in doing that which we are doing, rather than, digitalizing inefficiencies. Yes, if you are doing it in a haphazard manner, you would be doing that in a way. But yes, digitalization that we are looking at here is this digitalization that is required to make business work better, and to make to integrate the operation of our regulatory authorities and the interface with the business community and the communities that they serve.
Let's get into the economics, as it were. I really do want to understand, just as you were sitting at home, enjoying this launch, because I know it was being streamed and broadcast in different platforms. And I really do hope that, from what you were following from, you really drilled down into, okay, economically, this is how we as economists really understand this tapping into potential economic transformation for the Kingdom of Eswatini. Did you get a sense of that? Or perhaps what do you really see being the economic or rather benefit to the Kingdom of Eswatini?
First up, Mr. Nxumalo, when we talk economics, number one, what we have to look into is the efficiency and the ability for one to undertake these services. Having these services digitally available makes it relatively easier, and it's quite it makes it easier for people to actually engage with those services. So what we are seeing there is you're going to see that improvement in terms of the execution of those services. And when we talk of the taxation component of it, one of the good taxes or principles of a good taxation policy, Mr. Nxumalo, is it should be very easy to collect. Administrative ease and easy to collect. So now that in itself is an economic benefit, the fact that we're making it easy for people to interface and engage with the revenue service, and also people to engage with the government in terms of business registration and quite a number of those issues. So now that facilitates the volume of transactions, because you are cutting out on this travel time. And then also, when you are now doing it in the manner that we are looking at doing it, where you're doing it online, and people don't necessarily have to come to an authority, they can fill in their presumptive taxations at the comfort of their homes based on what they do. They become more at ease and relatively inclined to produce and to tell us what we want to declare to the revenue authority what they actually do require and how much they've made over the years. So we are going to see that mobilization also go up as well, Mr. Nxumalo, go up as well. And also we are going to see, these intra-country business ventures are also going up as well, in the sense that when you're looking at what the tax part of the initiatives there is for one to be able to fill a COMESA tax slip and all of those things, and just fill them online, file their taxes online, and instead of cutting down on that mobility. So that now gives businesses a bit of a resource flexibility, and it cuts down on the cost of it cuts down on the cost of actually adhering to one's taxation regulations, and also to the business regulations that we have.
Mr. Sbia, if there's an inclusion that, inclusion, every too often, inclusion speaks to something that we all advocate for, and people who are left out on the margins feel like they should be included, and they always feel that rightful and warranted entitlement. But when it comes to tax compliance, some people do not want to be included. But let's talk about tax compliance. And I want to understand the perspective around taxpayer shifting behavior among small businesses and the informal sector, who have been historically remaining outside of the tax net.
Mr. Nxumalo, when it comes to taxation, that's one of I find that's one of those areas in where we all want to be included, and we all want to participate, because if you can see the benefit that comes from one taxes, then it becomes relatively easy for one to pay their tax and to comply with their taxation, with their taxes. So now when we're looking into what TaxPal does, is it just basically puts the revenue services at the hands of the business person, of that SMME person. So now that makes it easy for these SMMEs to sit in their, say, in the safety of their offices, make the payments, and, also without necessarily sitting in front of a face that's going to frown at you when you are now declaring how much you make. I mean, when you're talking of presumptive taxation, this is taxation the way that the SME comes and says, you know what, I think this is how much I should be taxed. So now when you take away the human interaction from presumptive taxations, where people can simply just add in what they think they ought to be taxed, it makes it easy for people to comply when there isn't a face that's going to be looking at you like, no. Are you sure? That type of thing. So
Yeah.
yes, it is going to improve in terms of compliance, Mr. Newman.
Well, indeed, these digital tools are going to drive economic inclusion and efficiency. Efficiency being a big one for our economist, Sanele Sibiya. And of course, the Kingdom of Eswatini is applauding and celebrating the launch of these two important apps. Thank you, Sanele. Thank you for your time. We hope that you stay with us over the next 50 minutes that is over the next 40 minutes that is remaining. After the break, we continue.
All right, so welcome back. You're still watching Business Watch, powered by Nedbank Eswatini. Today in studio, we're joined by Big Game Park Sales and Marketing Manager. She's here to talk about the Imvelo MTB Classic happening on the 7th of June 2025. MTB Classic is in partnership with Nedbank Eswatini, and this year they're celebrating 20 years in collaboration since the Imvelo MTB Classic started. We're joined by Xolani Gama, and she's here to tell us more about this big event that brings back to the community. Very good afternoon, Xolani. Thank you for coming through here. It's such a milestone, huge milestone, 20 years later. Talk to us briefly just about this partnership between Nedbank Eswatini and just get into the primary objectives of the Imvelo MTB Classic.
Good afternoon, Makakula, and thank you so much for having us. And we'll also like to thank Nedbank for giving us this opportunity to come through. And as you have said, we're talking about 20 years. 20 years, it's a long time. It's a long time. We would like to say we have a solidified relationship or marriage with Nedbank. And for most people that are not aware, we started Imvelo in 2004, when it was still called Ingulube. We used to still work with Rotary by that time. And then we just decided, no, let's just shift it and take it to Mlilwane. And when we did that shift, Nedbank was ready to ride and die with us when it came to that. And here we are standing 20 years later. It's been a beautiful relationship. It's been a beautiful relationship with challenges here and there, where we've had 2 years of actually not even hosting it because, as everyone would know, COVID was there. And we were very happy that when we came back, Nedbank was still ready to partner with us and continue with that relationship, which we appreciate very much. Today we come to studio to speak about 20 years. The 20th celebration of partnering with Nedbank. It has been one where we have had that opportunity for Nedbank to come into play and understand what Imvelo is or Big Game Parks is. Big Game Parks is into conservation. We're into assisting communities that are around us. We're into bringing health and fun and also giving a moment to family to spend time in nature. And with Imvelo, it incorporates all of that. And Nedbank comes with that also in mind in understanding what conservation is. For conservation is preserving and making sure that we have our kids are able, as they grow up, to experience what we've experienced in regard to nature. And then comes the exercising part of it, which will most of the time it's one of those resolutions that we have in the beginning of the year to exercise, to be healthy, which is incorporated into that. And then another one milestone or one of the projects that we normally do or we focus on when it comes, when it comes to our projects. So within the 20 years that we have had the partnership with the Nedbank, we have been able to do projects that have touched not only just areas that are within Mlilwane, but Ezulwini as a whole. Some of the projects, we've done a project in 2023, which was Buhlebeli Zulu Water Sanitation Project.
So the proceeds from the event go to the projects in the community?
Yes. So the proceeds that we normally get from Nedbank and other sponsors will go to a different project that will have been allocated between Imvelo and Nedbank as a project that is going to assist the community that is near where we normally have the event. So the Buhlebeli Zulu project, it was a project that is done within the Zulwini area. So what happens there is that we supplied water that was over 1.1 million liters of water that was supplied to over 2.3 homestead in that area with clean water that has been purified. So that is one of those projects, and it's not only just limited to that. We have had that opportunity to actually assist some of the schools that are near Mlilwane with either we paint their schools or we build new infrastructures. We normally saying Eswati would say in so we try to give back to the community, and the giving back, it's not just for them. They see Mlilwane as a place that only tourists go to, or they see Nedbank as a place where it's only people that have money that go there. Because the fact that Nedbank is able to give back to a community, it will show the attachment that they have in assisting the community with any sponsorship or any projects that they do.
It's not just an event for cyclists,
No.
But
it doesn't. Yes, the cyclists are going to get some incentives when they are there, which is very much appreciated. But at the end of the day, the whole reason for actually doing the event is actually to touch and help or assist the communities that are within that section.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, 20 years later, I suppose the community has developed a lot. What are other projects that, you've seen in the community that have happened? I've seen there's a progress now on your way to Mlilwane. Those are one of the projects, I assume. What are some of the projects?
So some of the projects, and going for the 20 years, as you're saying, there has been changes, there has been improvement, and those improvements are not going to only be aligned with the changes around Mlilwane. So with the event that we have been very lucky to actually see the change of, we have the 12.5 kilometer, which is normally done by kids. We're talking about 20 years. Some of those kids have actually grew with Imvelo to the point that they're actually at high, either doing 35 or 65 kilometers. So even some of the kids have grown with that. And then in regard to the project, we have Eswatini Care Point that is near us, which is led by Ngoskati Lamtetra. There are some kids that are there who are from less disadvantaged families. So some of that money goes into assisting them with providing them with food. We sometimes go there, we'll do some painting or revamp some of the schools in that section. So, and we've had some of the classes being remade for them, and as we're speaking now, we are looking at going to Hlabazonke, which is another community that's next to us. We're looking at doing a full structure for a preschool that will be accommodating 25 children. At the current moment, they are using a church to go to school, and you find that sometimes there are challenges for them to go there. So we have taken it upon ourselves with Nedbank's assistance to actually go there and build a whole infrastructure for the kids, to know that when we come in, we have a proper school or classroom that is functioning. And from assistance from other sponsors, they've come through to assist with other things that we can put in place when it comes to that classroom. So the improvement and the growth is happening when it came to the event in regard to the projects.
All right, so let's talk about the registration. 7th June is only a few weeks away.
Yes.
How many people have registered? How many people have shown interest to be a part of this event? And let's talk about the routes as well. I did hear you mention 12 kilometers. I think I would do the 12 kilometers. You said it's for children, but I think I would fall under that category. Let's talk about registrations and the routes.
12.5, don't worry. Okay, so at the current moment, when we're looking at our numbers yesterday, we're looking that we have 125 that have entered now. We still haven't sat down today to tally against that, but we're looking at 125, and we still have basically like 2 weeks to look at other entries, because we'll be closing our entries on the 29th of May. So can I just say that again, on the 29th of May, our entries are closing at 5 p.m. So when it comes to that, entries cannot go in online. So when it comes to routes, as I said, Imvelo tries to incorporate everyone, from those ones that want something that is going to be challenging, something that is relaxed, and something that is going to be family orientated. We have done our event or our routes in such a way that they cater for everyone. There are those that are training for other bigger events, so they use this opportunity to do that. So we have the 65 kilometers that has been done for those ones. We have the 35, we have the 22 kilometers, and then the 12.5 kilometers. Normally the 12.5 kilometers is going to incorporate, we normally have our youngest from 7 to 8 years that is going to be doing those ones. Obviously, what we normally say, with a parent on site. So there's an age restriction. We cannot have a 10-year-old cycling alone. A parent needs to be part of that. So we have those different routes. They cater for everyone. If you want to come and relax with your family and take it slow, you have your 12.5 kilometers. You feel like you want to kind of feature, or you want to do a bit of some intensive one, you have the 65 kilometer route. And all of those, they have different time frames to start. Obviously our 65 kilometers, because it's the longest, it starts at 7:30 in the morning, and then we're going to have our 35 kilometers, which is going to be at 9:15, and then we're going to have our 22 kilometers, which is going to be at 9:15, and then the baby one, which is the 12.5 kilometers, is at 9:20. So it's different time frames. And what we normally ask our cyclists and families, because it's not only the cyclists we're inviting to the event. We invite friends, we invite families to come through, because we'll also have different stalls of people coming through, either promoting their products, and Nedbank will definitely be there with their amazing products. We're still in talk with asking them if there can be some goodies that can be given or given away on that day, just to entice people and understanding what Nedbank is. It's not only just a matter of being a main sponsor to an event, but talking about what products they are offering. I've heard you wanted one of their products, yes. So that can also be an opportunity for most people to learn more about it. Not only just focus on the event, but make it an educational visit or event for them to learn more about what Nedbank offers. So that can also be an opportunity for them to do that.
All right. So what are some of the things that we need to be wary of? Because there are a lot of animals at Mlilwane. You know, what are we supposed to do, you know, if we come across animals?
So before anything else, even if whether it's an event or it's not, what we always put in place is that when it comes to being in a nature reserve, animals have a right of way. So when we go to that space, we are in that space, not our space. So we ask for respect towards the animals. We know it's a competitive event, but we ask for people to actually respect the animals. And also when you are coming through, we'll have registration, which is going to be 3 days, 2 days, and then it incorporates the day of the race. We'll have registration, which is going to be at Eswatini Gate, which is the main gate from Lilwane. We'll be having it starting from Thursday, which is going to be the 5th of June, and then Friday, which is the 6th of June, and then obviously on the day of the event, which is the 7th of June. The dates for registration to happen on the 5th of June, it's going to start at 10 a.m. and will be done by 5 p.m. We're giving people that are actually traveling from far to actually come through to their registration. And then on that Friday, we'll also have registration, which is going to start at 1 p.m. and we'll run it until late, probably close off at 8 p.m. Because we do have internationals that are coming through who will be overnighting. And then on the day of the event. Registration is going to start at 5 a.m. until 10 a.m. We normally close 45 minutes before that specific race begins.
Okay.
We ask the drive in between the gate going to the main gate, 25 kilometers an hour. So please give yourself enough time to register, to drive, to prepare.
All right,
before the race starts.
Just lastly, before I let you go, what are other items that cyclists need to note? For instance, there are people that want to be part of the event, but they're not affiliated with any cycling club. Do they have their own registration?
So what
figure,
normally
what
happens on the
then?
day of registration or even before, we have the contact details that have been set up for Eswatini Cycling Association. We are communicating with Mr. Mkolisi Shongwe, who is the Secretary General at the Eswatini Cycling Association. So they can be in contact with him. His number is 7611-8123. So what will happen there, they will give you a temporary license that you can use on that day if you're not affiliated with any cycling team. But for those that have their cycling team number or licenses on the day, they'll find during registration day, the team will be there to assist them. And also, before I forget, before Oracle gives me, Oracle has come forward to say if you're an Oracle member, you are given 50% discount on the amount that you're going to pay in regard to the different categories that we have.
Okay.
So we'll also put in place for our cyclists coming through, please come through with water bottles. We'll have water points along the way, so you can always refill your water, rather than us finding ourselves throwing away, because remember, we're into conservation.
True.
So if you come through with your own water bottles, we have different water stations where you can always refill with water. And those that are doing your 65 kilometers, they find themselves passing through tunnels. So we always ask that they come with their torches. They know their head torches that they are going to use when they're doing that. No one is going to be allowed to cycle without a helmet.
Okay.
And proper cycling gear.
All right, last one,
Yes.
contact details for more information. Where do they contact you guys?
So if they need more information, they can always contact us at 7802-2899, or they can use 7602-1724. Or most people, they feel like that's a phone, I want to do it via email, they can always contact us at imvelo@biggameparks.org.
All right, thank you so much. Well,
Thank
there
you
you
so
have
much,
it.
Makakula.
Imvelo MTB Classic happening on the 7th of June 2025 at Mlilwane. For more details, do contact Big Game Parks on these contact details she's just mentioned. We go for an ad break. Sabia Koramach. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Following the launch of the Government in Your Hand app, business journalist Nosiwe Ndlangamandla sits down with Simpiwe Ndendeza, Head of Customer and Stakeholder Management at the Real Science and Technology Park. Together, they unpack how Eswatini can tap into the full potential of this innovative platform, from streamlined service access to empowering digital inclusion.
Mr. Ndendeza, thank you so much for joining us on Nedbank Business Watch. I will ask this question. Ngifuna nje ukuthi usichazele ukuthi le application lena imcokwa kangakanani ukuthi ibe khona even leSwatini, ikakhulu kunase isikhathi lapho khona vele onke emave emhlaba sekasebenzisa indlela tebuciko.
Siyabonga Ndlangamandla lethuba lokuthi sizame ukuchazisela ababukeli emakhaya ukuthi lo application lena yini bumqoka bayo. Le application lena masingabuyela emuva sikhumbule ukuthi indvuna yelitiko ka-ICT Honorable Savannah Maziya waphakamisa ukuthi siba nobulukhuni lokuthola ukuthi tintfo tihamba njani ngale bakwentako njengoba ngaku-aplayela ama-ID noku-aplayela nati temabhizinisi. So kwaba ngilapho-ke kokuthi cha asesende i-application letawenda ukuthi kube melula ukuthi bantu bakhone ukuthi bayi-access nobe basemakhaya nobe bakuphi. So kwaba ngilapho-ke nyalo sesinalo government in your hand lebe simlontsha namuhla lotawenda tintfo tibe melula.
Njengoba indvuna yelitiko letekuchumana seyisukumisile le app lena, umbukele ekhaya uyatibuta ukuthi engabe yini lengayitfola kule app, yini mhlawumbe lengatfolakali. Sicela ukuthi umane uchaze kabandi ngetintfo letitfolakalako kule app lena.
Kulo government in your hand le bese usukumisa namuhla. Longa kutfola tintfo letihambelana nabo matisi welive netimpepha tekuphuma nekungena i-passport ne-travel document. So ungakhona nyalo kokuthi ungene ubuke status sekuthi lobo ku-applyela sekukhashana kanganani ne-process. Ungaze ugibele usuke kalavumisa uye uyobuka i-passport yakho ukuthi ngabe seyiphumile yini noba akayaphumi. So utawukhona lokungena kule application uvele ukuthole leyo mniningwane ukuthi passport yakho ikuphi. Lokunye lesekungetile kulaba labadzala labanebantfwana emakhaya bayakhona ukuthi nobe bangene ngale profile yabo, bayakhona ukuthi bangamhlolela umfana wabo ngokuthi i-passport seyikuphi nekuphuma etiko latasekhaya. Lokunye lokuningi lokuhle lokusithola silele sikufakile kusebenzisana nabaka-ERS nebaka-Commerce ngilete emabhizinisi. Nyalo sotawukhona lokuthi u-reserve ligama lenkampani yakho, ukhona nokuthi u-applyele i-trading license ne-liquor license. So ngaphandle kokuthi nyalo uhambe uye ka-Commerce uye kwa-revenue kuphi. So ukhona lokho konke lokho sokwenda uhleti ekhaya ube nebhizinisi yakho.
Sewuchazile njena ukuthi yini letfolakalako uyatithinzana natindzaba temabhizinisi, umuntu sowungenile mhlawumbe waregister, kepha-ke kudzingeka ukuthi ende njani uregister acedze le process yini kubuye kwekuthi maybe approved for example, noma kuyadzinga ukuthi bese sowuphindze uyasuka uya khona etiko letemabhizinisi nekuthengiselana mhlawumbe kuyolandza leso certificate sakhe.
Ngiyabonga lo muntu omuhle. So kwanyalo vele lokukhona nyalo ukuthi uma u-applyele sokucedzile uyabese utalitfola uma ucedza ku-reserve leligama lakho lale nkampani. Utawukhona nalokuthi bese soya ka-Commerce. So kutaba melula ukuthi uma uya ka-Commerce umikisa lelo phepha lelo leseliphuma lapha kunekokuthi uzeta uhambe uyohlala emalayinini uzame uku-applyela ubhadale. So sokwenda usekhaya. Sokunciphisa leso sikhathi sakho lebotasenda udledle ka-Commerce uyofuna lifomu. Yebo useta ukuya ka-Commerce ufike ulimikise leli fomu ukuze ukuthi kuvunyelwane uthole stamp. Emva kwaloko bese-ke mase uyobhadala. Nyalo mase ubhadala sovele ubhadala lapho, hawu mawusuka lapho-ke hawu sokuphelele sowuthola tonke tintfo zetendeka lapha khona kule application.
Sive sike sakhala kakhulu sisakhala nanyalo ngetindzaba tema-data kwekuthi kube sekuyadula kakhulu khanze njena kwekuthi ngitawuthi ngiyangena ngi-downloada le app kuhamba imali leningi kanti phela le app lena itawusetshenziswa kakhulu bantfu labasha. Labanye balabantfu labasha labaningi basasungula emabhizinisi bete kahle imali. Engabe nibabukele kangakanani lapho?
Hawu Muto mhla kakhulu kulabo lesebake bayi-downloada nyalo bayibonile uthi nje uma uyi-downloada nje uyithola lapha ku-App Store ayithathi ngisho nokuthatha ivele nje ama-second lambala seyivele seyikhona nekusivinini sayo sivinini lesimatima lesenda ukuthi i-data yakho vele akusiyele hamba kakhulu ngoba mangabuyela nje Dlangamandla senalo star 468 lo khona. Yebo yona ukadla yena vele udzinga ukuthi ube ne-airtime kanti nyalo sesibonile ukuthi inqumbi yensha nyalo insha leningi seyivamise ukuconnecta labo ma-Wi-Fi senjoba imemetile indvuna kwekuthi litiko lisemkhankasweni wekokuthi tinkhundla tibe ne-free Wi-Fi nanyalo embabane lobe sukumisa smart city sesine-free Wi-Fi lekhonako kokuthi wonke umuntu ukuthi angakhona so letiko vele lisemkhankasweni lokwenda kokuthi iWi-Fi ibe khona kuloko nje kulo msebenzi lo lesiwendako bese sebenza kanye nebaka MTN lesinabo so kube kwathi vele lena le application lela lesinayo ayidli kakhulu kubuka njengalamanye ama-applications.
Njengoba sekusukunyiswe i-app ye-government in your hand, engabe sekuyambulala yini lo star 468 lebekade lamanye amaswati amsebenzisa noma-ke sekutawusebenta kanye kanye?
Cha, star 468 vele siyamthanda kakhulu nje nami ngingatsho ukuthi ngiyawusebenzisa star 468 utawuhlala akhona utawusebenta nayo yebo kona lokuthi sigcine sete la kule mobile application kuthi lo star 468 uhamba bese soba nekugcina singasakhona lokufaka lalamanye ema-services le sitawafaka njengoba nje aka-agriculture kunebalimi labafuyakho sitawugcina sifakile nalawo ma-services aka-agriculture njengoba singu-RSTP kuphuma nekuhamba kwetinkomo lawo lokuthiwa ngemapasi etinkomo labo labahamba bohlaba tinkomo batimikise emabhuchari bese setiyahamba setita phakithi singu-RSTP ngithi lele sibuke loko lawo ma-systems lawo so kungakuthi nje ngekuhamba kwesikhathi siyawugcina sesikufakile lawo ma-systems abo-livestock permit sekangenile lapha kule mobile application lebe siyilontsha nyalo. So star 468 kutaba khona vele nalamanye ama-services le sitawuphinde angene a-improve ngoba kwendela ukuthi kunalaba sesenetincingo lefana nabobhompompo nobe letiko selike lamemetela ukuthi bobhompompo sebatawubese sebayema kodwa kusesekhona labo vele basabhilivele ukuthi cha mina sengisebenzise lo kuthiwa USSD code. So star 468 sesetaba nayo sesetawubuka indlela ukuthi phinde sim-improve.
Umbuto wami vele lo landzelako bewuwekwe ukuthi engabe ngitiphi letinye tinhlelo letitawufakwa ku-government in your hand naku-ke sowuchazile ukuthi nitatibuka netekulima mhlawumbe ungasengetela ukuthi ngabe ngitiphi letinye tinhlelo lenibuka ukuthi nitatifaka kule application le.
Njengoba ngisho nje kanyalo nje ngingasho nje nelitiko laka-Works lisemkhankasweni wekuthi lishintshe ma-number plate lisemkhankasweni wekuthi kulabo labahamba bobhalela labo learners sitawukhona ukuthi nyalo sale sikhona kufaka nalapha ukuthi umuntu akhone nokubhukha le-point lekuthi ahambe bayobhala i-learners yakhe aye vele sekabhukhile online ngoba nyalo kusesenabo lukhuni bekwenda labo booking ukuthi ufike le uyobhala i-learners yakho so vele umsebenzi mningi kakhulu lengakusho ndla ngamandla ukuthi sing-RSTP ema-systems lesiwabukile ahulumende ayafika ekhulwini maningi kakhulu so kusesekuningi kakhulu lele sitakwenda ngoba lengakusho nje ndla ngamandla lokhu lesikwendako asitendeli thina sendela lensha lele tako kuyakuthi umfana nje vele nje lomncane lonyalo lo sese high school nalo sese primary yena vele ngileli thulusi lakhe leli latalisebenzisa njengoba ngibekisile ngalabo livestock konke tinto setitawendeka la applyele inako i-permit ayi-applyele lapha kule nako kulo mobile application yethu.
Mr. Ndendesa siyabonga kakhulu kuba nathi ayasho eMaswati ukuthi vele le application seyivele iyasebenta nami nje senginayo la cingweni sengivele ngiyidownloadile siyethemba ukuthi esikhathini lesitako noma emalangeni nje lambalwa nitawube senisitshela ngetraffic kule application ukuthi ngabe mangakhe eMaswati lesekangenile lesayidownloadile lese ayisebenzisa. Thank you so much for joining us on Nedbank Business Watch.
All right, that was business journalist Nelson Ngamandla having a discussion with Simpiwe Ndendesa from RSTP, just unpacking the government in your hand application. After that break, we're joined by Sandiswa Dlamini for today's market analysis. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is the final segment of today's episode of A Business Watch. We get into the market analysis with Asandiswa Dlamini. Very good afternoon, Ngosi. Welcome back. It's been a while. Welcome back. So, major events happening today. Later today in the U.S., we do recall that President Ramaphosa went to United States for a meeting with President Donald Trump. They're meeting later today. What can we anticipate, in terms of their discussion?
Thank you, Lulu. Good afternoon to your viewers at home, and good afternoon to you. Thank you for welcoming me back. As you have just highlighted, today we have a very important meeting for the South African economy, for South African politics. We have a meeting of the two heads of state, President Ramaphosa and President Donald Trump. This is a very vital meeting, especially because of the recent allegations that have been thrown around, especially towards South Africa, around white people being persecuted and the existence of a genocide that's sort of targeted to white people. So I think this meeting is important for Ramaphosa to clarify those allegations and maybe amend or mend the relationship between the two nations. But this meeting will definitely be very important for the economy in South Africa. So we expect a positive. If it goes in a positive way, we expect that the rand will react. The equities in SA will also react towards that. But we are yet to see, and we are waiting for that meeting to commence. And yes.
Yeah, in the interest of time, let's just move on. And still on Trump's world, he has introduced the Trump's tax bill. Tell us more about that.
Yes. So as you can note, currently the US dollar is not doing so well. So President Donald Trump have presented a bill. It's called the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is a big name for this bill. But this bill, it pertains specifically to tax. Donald Trump intends on cutting or giving tax breaks to big corporations and individuals in the United States. But in order to be able to achieve this, he needs to cut spending from the government's perspective. So the tax breaks that he intends to provide are summing up to 4.9 trillion, which is a big margin. So what was the course of events is that he's supposed to convince the Republican caucus to back him during the votes in Parliament. So he was not able to do that recently, yesterday, after this bill was passed in the budget committee. So there are still amendments that need to be done before the bill can go through, because they have suggested that the bill needs to clarify how deep these cuts are going to be, so that they can measure the effect and map it into the tax break to make sure that this does not lead to a ballooning budget deficit, which is already very high in the U.S.
Yeah. Just before we get into today's figures, let's still on the U.S. I saw that inflation numbers have been released in the United States. What do they reveal really?
Yes, so technically we have that the economies, what they do is we have inflation targeting monetary policy, which means we have a specific range that is targeted. So we move our interest rates in order to make sure that inflation fits in that range. So what we have seen is that in South Africa recently, the target have been 3% and 6%. So what has happened is that in the past few months, inflation have been low. Like it's been 2.6, 2.7, and of late it's 2.8. It just moved from 2.7 to 2.8. But this is still outside the range that's the sub-intense inflation to be in. So what they have proposed is that soon, we don't know when, but the Deputy Minister of Finance announced that they will announce a different range that they will be targeting. And this is a big step because we have seen the current range. It's been in place for a very long time. So we still wait to see what's the new range, because in 2024, the inflation was averaged at 4.4%, which was in line with the fiscal policy or the monetary policy. But now the estimate is that the inflation will only reach 2.8 maximum which is outside of the target. So we expect that there will be a change in the regime or on the monetary policy side. So even on that end, we are still waiting for the announcement from the SARB, of which it will happen soon.
All right, so let's take a look now at currencies today. Today, Minister of Finance in South Africa is expected to table the budget for the third time. But let's take a look at currencies. How are they performing today?
So as you can see, the rand have gained some ground. It's currently at 17.9084. Like it opened at 90. It's currently gone lower to 86. We have seen the pound gaining some ground too. But for the pound and the euro, it's slight ground, and it really pertains to what's happening in the US currently. And for the rand, we have this anticipation, and we also have these inflation numbers that have improved, but they are still outside the range. So with inflation being so low, we expect that the SARB might cut interest rates. So economists are now projecting that there might be cuts in July, there might be also cuts in the fourth quarter. So, but with the economic environment that we're seeing today, there's a lot of volatility, so that's not going to be confirmed. Otherwise, the currency in SA is currently doing very well, and we expect that today's budget will be a successful one after we've seen the first failure and the second failure of the budget. But mostly those hindrances came from the VAT, which led to a lot of disagreement between the political parties, and even on the second round where we saw the budget was voted, but we saw the DA and the EFF take the Minister of Finance to court to try to stop the VAT. So we think that this budget will not have that aspect of the VAT. It might have alternatives to generate the amount of revenue that's needed by the government. Okay,
quickly, let's take a look at commodities this afternoon. How are they performing?
So in terms of commodities, we have gold. Gold is up 0.81%. We also have crude, which is also up 2.5%. You can see that Brent crude is up quite a bit. And this stems from an intelligence that's been leaked away. So there was a CNN report that happened probably earlier today, and it suggested that Israel is planning an attack on Iran. So this is a leak, but it's giving that, it's not confirmed, but it's giving an intention from the Israel side to attack mainly nuclear facilities in Iran. And this is going to definitely affect the flow of crude oil from the Middle East. And this is a very, very bad timing, considering that the US and Iran are currently in negotiations for nuclear trade deal. Okay. So there's a lot of pressure coming from Donald Trump, and now there's also this revelation from the Israel side. So there are a lot of tensions around the Middle East, and that have also fell into gold, since gold is always observed as a reserve or a safe haven in terms of turmoil. If there's issues in the markets, investors will tend to go for gold. So in this case, it's because there's a lot of uncertainty. We have seen gold climb quite a bit. And this have been a trend since the beginning of Donald Trump's era, because he brought in a lot of uncertainty, and gold have really picked up. Beginning of the year or late last year, gold was at around 2.8, 2.9, but now we're seeing it climb way close to 3.5 thousand US dollars.
All right, quickly, let's take a look at equities today. We only have a minute to go.
So in terms of equities, we have the S&P 500, which is quite low. We have FTSE, the FTSE 500, it's up 0.94%. And the JSE All Share is also up 0.29%. So from the JSE All Share, it's benefiting a lot from the rand. That's gained a lot of strength. And the FTSE in the UK, we have a lot of corporations which are currently releasing their earnings, and it's a positive. There's a lot of positivity around there, and so it have gained a lot. For example, we have Vodafone, which gained 7.3%. We have the diploma, which gained 15.1%. So the FTSE index is gaining a lot from the earnings that have been released recently. And in terms of the S&P 500, it's not actually doing bad. The drop is just a pullback after it had quite a long run of gains. And investors are now reassessing the risk and making sure that they are not being over leveraged on the S&P 500. So what's happening now is that there's a lot of rebalancing of investors' portfolios because we have seen they are not convinced that the S&P 500 will continue for a long time to make those gains. So this is just a pullback, and compared to last week, this is really still quite a high number because last week it was at around 5,888. So there is still an increase there. It's just that investors are now being cautious as this will not last long before they have the pullback.
All right, thank you, Sandiswa. Well, there you have it, today's market analysis with Sandiswa Dlamini. We've come to the end of our program. Thank you for tuning in. This was Nedbank Business Watch. We'll see you again next week for another episode. Have a lovely day and a lovely weekend.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously.